was it them or was it you? And how to maintain your development. Hello, Will Perry. How you doing? Another daily dose of keeping the conversation alive. So, was it them or was it you? Ugh. So, can you relate to this? We follow people who speak to us on a certain level, who connect, whose message we really resonate with, and sometimes we invest in them. Say, gosh, I've done loads in the past. So that marketing courses, advert courses, well, adverts, Facebook courses, Facebook advertising courses. I've done self-development courses. I've done courses on how to build courses. I've done, you get the idea. But whatever you've bought, I've had people that have bought Tony Robbins courses, all meditation courses, all sorts of courses, online courses. Because technology is so much more prevalent these days in terms of online courses, it's much easier. But maybe you went along to seminars, you've bought books, you've bought, whatever it is, the material there. It's because somebody spoke to you on a certain level and you've invested in that and taken the next step, maybe a next step along, and maybe done some work for a little while. But then there comes a point, maybe, and see if you can relate to this. There comes a point where you feel a bit disillusioned, a bit disillusioned with them, and it's like and what happens then is this rather than this connection that was there at the beginning, it starts to actually break out, and you lose that connection. You come to surmise that actually maybe they weren't so great, they're not so relevant to you, it's not so pertinent, or maybe they're at fault. Maybe they went a bit sour. Maybe they lost the message. Maybe they became too big for the boots. Maybe they, when you dug deeper, you didn't like the message that you got. So can you relate to that on whatever level, where it's a bigger level or somebody you invested in? It's like, and then if you put your money on the line, then you can feel a bit, a bit cheesed off, and you'd have every right to feel like that. Depending whether you got the value or not, depending whether then we can reflect a certain amount. But people generally, it's easier to not reflect on your own misgivings, but to blame and put the onus on other people that come along and should have fixed me for that. I'm being tongue in cheek now, but so is it them? What we can do is put them at fault, but maybe it's worth considering, what did we kind of fall in love with? Maybe the honeymoon period. What did we fall in love with? What did we connect with? What was it that spoke to us in what they were saying and how they were saying it in the first place? And just reflect on that and sort of, have they changed, or did we perhaps hit a limit? Did we perhaps hit our own glass ceiling, and then rather than smash through it and grow as the course or whatever develops, progresses with that, or the person professes to do the next step, keep doing this, keep at it. Maybe it's exercise, do this, do that, keep it up, and you just weren't consistent, and it went off, and it's I just like that noise. So that you perhaps have deviated because you hit a limit, because you hit a negative belief, because you were too challenged for yourself. Maybe, is that what went on? I'm not suggesting it is, but it's interesting to reflect. I can think of a couple where I've done that, and it's like, actually what's actually happened is that I had this expectation that my life would change from that, and I wouldn't have to do more or spend more or do. And it's like, I get to the right, you're at this level now, you need to invest in this. And it's like, just me, I haven't got any money to invest in it. Which is shorthand for frustration. So, and then you can turn out to blame the other person because they should have told you, but it's actually not what's there. Because when I've reflected, when I felt that, it's like, I hit a certain limit, and then I stopped doing what they were telling me to do. I stopped putting the action in place. I stopped being bold. I stopped pushing myself. I went and got down a different path they weren't telling me to go. It's like, just because I had hit my own glass ceiling. Can you relate to this? So was it them? Did they change, or did you hit a limit? And I think that's an interesting thing to reflect on. So perhaps what I'd suggest is look with fresh eyes, go back and look with fresh eyes, because we're all human, we're all going on our own journey. I can relate to somebody I invested with, did my course, How to Build a Course, awesome course. But that person, I felt like, and when I go back, it's like, yeah, they're human. They went on their own journey and they've been bold enough to share their own journey about why they disconnected. But they're still there doing their thing. They're still there helping their audience. It's just that I went off and because I hit my limit, and they weren't there. They weren't the person to help me focus on that limit, because they were going through their own stuff, and the course wasn't about what to do when you hit your limit. It was about how to build the course, and it was perfect for doing that. So on your unique journey, maybe you need to pick up your journey and refresh it and get back to that point where you hit the ceiling and go, right, it was at this point where I bounced off and went down the wrong path. Maybe I need to get to this point again and then review and reflect of what I need. What's going to get me through this glass ceiling rather than down this way? So my invitation to you is to explore your next ceiling, your next barrier, and to overcome it. There we go, simple. Overcome that. So maybe at that point strategize, maybe at that point reflect, maybe review at that point. What is it that would open the door for you, that would smash through the ceiling? And what would that enable you to do? Where would that take you? What impacts would that have for you? What would that do to your self-belief? What negative belief would that challenge in a positive way? That's cool stuff. And when we break through those ceilings, we can build upon the positive beliefs that we want to have about ourselves, but don't, because the negative belief wins out, the mother of all belief wins out. So this can really help with strategizing, but inaction won't do it. Theorizing is not real. Theorizing won't help it. You have to get into action, which means pushing through them rather than go, that's just compounding the negative. Does that make sense? Can you relate to that? I'd love to hear about it. And it's all on this stuff, Generation Trapped. We get stuck on the outer problems that we think are the real big problems, but not the mother of all beliefs that's actually holding us back in the center. So if you haven't, check out the webinar, the 30-second webinar. That would be a really quick one. You could take that on and go, get into action from that, but it's actually 30 minutes, which is still quite short. But take the test if you haven't already. The test is just a self-reflection, really quick self-reflection, to see whether you have this kind of mother all belief stuff going on, the negativity about yourself. And you probably know that already. You've probably got a sense of that already for yourself, and maybe you've taken it already and you know this stuff, in which case think of one thing where you've maybe hit the ceiling before and then gone off like that. What could you do differently? What could you, if you get to that point, what would it do? What would it mean? What to break through that? What would it enable to do? What doors would it open for you? And then go and reflect on that. Go and review that. What would get you through that? And if you think what I'm talking about resonates, then there's an interesting catch-22. Come to me, invest in the pathway that we have. But the whole point about the accountability and the coaching over the course of a year, and you can find out about this on the webinar, is that you don't get stuck and hide. You can't hide. You don't go off and get stuck down a little corridor or a corner, and interesting metaphor where you get stuck and nobody notices. The whole point is there that you're supported out of that sort of stuff, and you've got a structure to follow. Come and find out if that's interesting. Come and ask me a question. But don't just think, it was them, it was the course, I just need to find a better course. Maybe you need to find the course on how to solve the problem of the mother of all beliefs, because that's the thing that's, when you hit that ceiling, rather than breaking through into the next level, and that's not good, because that halts your progress. Hope that makes sense. Give me a comment on that. Speak to you soon. Hope that's of value to you. Have an awesome rest of the day, or day tomorrow, or day today. All right, many thanks. Bye-bye.